Now, very important, lumbar stability. Has everyone had back pain at some point? Yeah. And so the spine is built in a way where you want it to be stable because you have to move your hips, and in circus you're often moving your legs and sweeping around, or from here you're hanging, or a lot of times you're just arched, right? You're bending backwards, and it's a beautiful arc, right? But then sometimes you might see with some people, they bend backwards, and I call it a hinge point. So when you bend backwards, you want this nice arc through the spine. There's going to be a little bit less arc through the mid to upper back because the lumbar spine is actually built more to bend forward and back than the thoracic spine. But you still need some extension through the thoracic spine. So if you're hinging back and you don't have that stability here, you're just kind of letting it compress and crunch down into the low back. And it might not feel very bad in the beginning, but then you do it over and over and over, and it's kind of thrusting. Then your muscle's like, oh no. And then every now and then, I've had it before where your back is just like, I'm done. And you're walking like this. Or you're like, oh, I need to stretch, but stretching's a little painful, but oh, I need to stretch or so, right? Or you do a lot of other back bends, and like at the end of the day after standing after that day, and you have left here and you're standing in line to buy groceries and stuff, you're just like, oh, I need to stretch that back. It is so overused. So clearly core stability. We're going to go down farther in the joint, but Jason talked about if you don't have thoracic mobility, if I'm trying to reach back and arc into this line or so, if I don't have the extension from the mid to upper back, I immediately go, and that's so much more hinging into the low back, right? And it's really a lot more stress there. But if I could share it and create this big arc back through here, it's a little different. And I stabilize here so I can keep it from crunching down. I can give it some lift so that you have some space in the area versus just crunching down. Because a lot of the times it's not just holding it too, it's moving through it and in and out of it. And so you have to control that moment. So let's start with a simple one to begin with. So this may be part of a Pilates, or let's skip the Pilates series. This is what we call the dying bug or the dead bug. I imagine because cockroaches, with their feet up or so, but I didn't name it. Okay, knees up in front of your hips. Your core is going to be engaged. So when we talk about core stability, we are not talking about tucking your pelvis under and gripping your six-pack muscles and abdominals. We are talking about using those deep muscles, which is under the six-pack muscles, under the oblique muscles, your deeper transverse abdominis muscles, the deeper spinal muscles, which you don't necessarily want to grip into. You don't want to feel like you are tensing up your spine and low back because people tend to tense up their erectors. And it's also your diaphragm and your pelvic floor. And then with performing artists too, sometimes it's your deep hip flexors as well. But right now we're working kind of just your normal core. So you engage as if someone's trying to sock you in the stomach, and you tense down here. You don't want to tense so much where you're pushing your stomach out and you start talking like this. That's a lot of pressure where your precious organs are, so you don't want to do that. So you engage down. You're going to lift one leg and the other leg up into tabletop, which is the 90 degrees at the hips, 90 degrees at the knees. Arms reach right in front of the arm, right in front of the shoulders, and you're going to lengthen through one leg and the opposite arm out and back in, out and back in, without letting your spine and pelvis move.